BusinessNet Explorer, product news podcast channel. This is B&E Product News, supporting specifiers and buyers. This podcast is sponsored by the B&E Product News podcast library. Well, hi, this is Mick de Leyburn for BusinessNet Explorer, and welcome to the fourth in a series of 6 special edition bite-sized learning B&E brand leader interview podcasts, where we discuss how good ventilation can be achieved in the home and in the workplace with Vortice thought leadership and product solutions. Now, in this edition, we're talking about the problem of black mould that can form in our homes. Black mould is unsightly, potentially time-consuming and expensive to deal with, and if left untreated can also have a serious impact on the health of the occupants. Richard Williams, General Manager at Vortice, has kindly taken time away from his busy schedule to join us on the phone to talk us through the root causes to this issue. Well, hi Richard, welcome to the B&E Brand Leader podcast today.
Hello Mick, thanks for the opportunity to discuss the issue and how we can help.
Well, that's a pleasure. Well, Richard, let's start with the root causes of black mould in the home and when we need to take action, preferably to prevent it growing in the first place.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you mentioned root causes because mould is actually a very simple plant. So, a root is a good analogy for the plant. And plants will always grow when you've got moisture. That's one of the main criterias that makes them grow. Now, it's a simple plant, so if you think about gardeners, you can either kill a plant by using weed killers on it, chemicals, and that will kill it. But what gardeners can't do is they can't take away the rain. What we can do, fortunately, is we can control the indoor humidity. So that makes a big difference. So take away the source of the moisture and mould will die. It's a very, very simple plant. The other thing is seeds. Now, in this case, it's spores. Typically, in a cubic metre of summer air, you'd have around 50,000 per cubic metre. And it comes from dead or decaying material that's always around us. The difference in the winter is, inside a property, you probably have about 500 per cubic metre, 500 spores per cubic metre. That's about 100 times lower. But the difference is, in the winter, because we've shut the doors and windows, we're actually trapping moisture inside, so effectively we're watering those spores and black mould grows.
So what are the implications of this for the occupants of a property?
Well, there's always spores in the air, so you can't get away from that, and they will sort of germinate and grow on sort of surfaces, not just sort of walls where we typically see them. You can also see them on leather goods, shoes, handbags, things like that. And water vapour is something that we all produce naturally because we all cook and bathe and breathe.
Okay, got it. Is this just a problem with older properties, would you say, or is it something that can also affect a new build?
It's interesting actually. People tend to think of existing properties because of low surface temperatures being the main problem. But I have had development director of a registered service provider, housing association, actually say that their worst cases are in new build properties, and that's down to the level of air tightness and perhaps inadequate ventilation being provided at the new build stage.
Okay, so clearly energy efficiency is now at the top of pretty much everybody's list of ambitions for housekeeping and sustainability. So mechanical ventilation sounds potentially like the way to go, would you say?
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, if you open a window or a door, you'll get a huge amount of air sort of travelling through it. So it's actually more energy efficient to use the mechanical ventilation. Of course, people perceive the running cost of the electricity to run the fan, but that's actually minuscule when compared to the amount of reheating of the air that moves very, very quickly through a window or doorway.
Well, how about rented properties? Landlords must be keen to protect their properties, so you'd have thought supporting the occupants by giving them mechanical ventilation as a tool and advising them on best practice for ventilation in these situations to help stay in a healthy indoor environment would be a good move.
Yes, it is. Any sort of method of ventilation will help. and it is tricky for landlords who want to ensure good conditions within their home to protect the fabric of the building, and they've got a duty of care to their occupants as well. Positive input ventilation helps reduce humidity problems by ensuring a fresh flow of air into the property to dilute moisture. And air is often warmer in the loft space than outside, so from an energy point of view, it's a good place to draw the makeup air from.
Well, thank you again for joining us today to talk us through the root causes to this issue.
Thank you for the invite to be on the BNE Brand Leader podcast, Mick.
Well, that's a pleasure. Cheers. For more information about Vortice and their full range of products, please go to www.vortice.ltd.uk. And please make sure you check out the other B&E Brand Leader podcasts in this special edition series with Vortice, where we discuss the importance of good ventilation in the indoor workplace, heat recovery systems and the role they play in good ventilation, and the importance of quiet ventilation. These can be found in our B&E Brand Leader interview playlist and on the Vortice website landing page via the podcast tab at the top of the page. Well, thank you for joining us for this latest edition of the B&E Product News podcast. And please, stay safe. Follow us on Twitter at B&E Product News to keep updated on our latest product news podcast releases, and visit us at businessnetexplorer.com to find more product news and information for specifiers and buyers in the construction and building services and associated manufacturing and energy sectors. BusinessNet Explorer podcasts are now available via the Apple Podcasts app, iTunes and on Spotify. You can subscribe to access our existing content and, of course, to receive every new podcast that we publish in audio format.